Hi there, I'm Leonard Jacobs of the Clyde Fitch Report, here with another Fringe Talk, where we're going to talk about Fringe. That's why it's called Fringe Talk.
That's what we do.
And my friend Alina Holy is to my left. The what's your title? Producing Artistic Director,
That's right.
Poobah. You are the grand Poobah of the New York and mom of the New York International Fringe Festival.
That's it.
And we're going to have a conversation about venues, pertinent to the 2011 festival, but also generally a little bit about the history of Fringe in New York and where it's been geographically and location-wise and where it's going. We want to do a little bit of business and talk about some things that we're not going to talk about, just so you guys are not sitting watching this video saying, why aren't they talking about that?
Oh, yeah.
So
you guys had some great ideas on our Facebook fan page, which we really appreciate. Someone asked something about how to find a great director. And I will just say that if you're selected to participate in FringeNYC, we have this great thing called Director Speed Dates, and you will learn all about that then.
Oh, cool.
And someone else asked about how to market your show, how to get an audience. All of that is covered in participant training. And we do things like marketing speed dates, marketing mixers, all of these wonderful things, and sort of take our participants step by step through that process, and huge participants manual and stuff. So we won't be talking about those things at Fringe Talk, but if you are accepted to participate in the festival, you'll get plenty of that. Okay.
You could also form your own director's speed date. I'm not speaking from any personal agenda here at all. I'm just saying, yeah, it's a big city, and
Yes.
there are a lot of interesting people out there. Venues.
Yes.
So
Hence the map.
and
We're in a different place in the office.
I feel we could do like the Vanna thing.
Exactly. Point to specifics. Don't get excited if you can't actually see little dots and flags. Don't get excited. This map is in process, and it is of all potential venues south of 14th Street. So nothing is set in stone for this year or any other year.
I must sort of do a video apology. We're tight on camera, and I've been told not to move my hand too much.
And we both.
So this is mini Vanna, okay?
Miniature Vanny.
How many venues in a typical Fringe year, and talk about that, and talk about sort of how things work contractually with the union?
Sure. The number of venues is generally around 20. Interestingly, since we started in 1997, shows are getting shorter. And that's very generally speaking, but we usually assign between 12 and 14 shows to each venue. And so the number of venues that are necessary for that, for each show to get at least 5 performances, has gotten smaller. And our venues vary widely and wildly, from a 50-seat venue, a small black box, to what's the biggest venue we've ever had? Probably Meadow Lane.
NYU?
Right, when we used the Skirball Center for the Performing Arts at New York University. That is 2,500 seats. I don't know. But interesting you should say that, because we used 499 of those available seats at the Skirball, thanks to Actors Equity Association's generosity. In the early years of the festival, if you had an equity actor in your show, then you were performing under the Equity Showcase Code, which many New York participants and applicants and fans of FringeNYC are familiar with. People outside of New York City have never heard of it, but the Showcase Code restricts performances to theaters that are 99 seats or less, have a capacity of 99 seats or less. So one of the things that Equity has blessed us with, I think in 2002,
It's almost 10 years ago.
I think so, is a side letter written specifically for FringeNYC, which allows us, regardless of the union status of our performers, to use venues up to 500 seats, as long as they are south of 14th Street, which all of our venues are anyway, because we're very much a downtown festival. So we got that side letter from Actors Equity Association kind of at the same time as we were needing larger venues anyway. And I will say, in the years prior to achieving that side letter, you know, if you had a 35-person musical, but it was equity, we had to put you in a 99-seat black box. If you were a solo show from South America, you were one of my few non-equity shows, and I had to put you in the huge proscenium. So the side letter allowed us to do what we actually love to do, which is assign shows to venues that are right for the show, where they will thrive and work well and look beautiful. And so that's what we've been doing since that time.
I want to expand on that. Can you talk a little bit about how you go about, finding the venues, and then once they're found, I mean, I think you know where they are, but establishing your agreements with them each year, the owners of those venues, how you figure out which show is going to go where. I mean, some of that is predicated on the participants telling you what their needs are, but I would imagine some of it is about you making a judgment call about what kind of venue, size, shape, location might be appropriate.
Right. Yeah. We're a festival that provides the venue. So as a part of, once you're accepted to the festival, as a part of your $600 participation fee, we're providing the venue. We don't have a bring your own venue part of FringeNYC, which some other fringe festivals do. So actually one of the benefits of being an adjudicated festival is that I'm familiar with the shows. So I've read what's been submitted, sometimes watched a DVD. So that is extraordinarily helpful in assigning the shows to venues. When a show is accepted to the festival, in addition to that, one of the first things they turn in is a tech survey form. Right. And that tells us if they need height or width or what type of venue they prefer, be it a proscenium or a black box or what we call a studio space. If there is anything unusual about their lighting or rigging or sound, those kinds of things. And then it's a part, it takes a few rounds of assigning shows to venues. And usually when we are assigning shows to venues is when we discover that we do need another proscenium or another black box. Or sometimes a white box, or sometimes a wide but not deep space for dance with height. It kind of sorts itself out. So it's a little bit of art, a little bit of, to be honest with you, I think it's producing. It is. It's, doing, putting the shows in the right spaces is one of the things that producers do.
Right.
Yeah.
Do you when do you start sort of trying to figure out which venues you want to contract with each year? And are there standing agreements with particular venues? I don't know if you want to talk about that. There are venues that Fringe has gone back to very frequently. Other venues have disappeared, unfortunately, and that shouldn't happen in New York. Right. I'm talking to you, advocates out there. But spaces come and go.
They do.
So maybe give us a sense of the timeline of the process. I mean, do you actually call them and say, "Hi, theater owner, we like your theater. What's it going to cost?" I mean, is it that brass tacks or?
Less of that.
Okay.
More of, hi, we're FringeNYC, this is what we can pay. And I have to say, unfortunately, speaking of what you were just talking about, and the disappearance of a lot of off and off-Broadway spaces, in the last couple of years, people have been calling us. They would like to book FringeNYC,
awesome.
Which... Well, it is, but given what we pay, that's not a good sign. We're talking about venues that command quite a price, and if they're empty, then they like to rent to FringeNYC. So, not-for-profit venues that people use as their home on a normal basis, they will contact me sometimes as early as right after we finish a festival. They're contacting us for next year. Commercial spaces, the four-wall deals, they don't want to talk to me yet. They because they're hoping to book an off-Broadway show that's going to pay the fee that they deserve.
Do those end up being the last ones to get booked? Yeah,
often the commercial spaces, but are the last to get booked, and those are quite often the larger and off-Broadway spaces as well. So that's kind of how it works. Ben's giving us the wrap-up sign, but I will. I know, amazing how much we. But that's a little glimpse into how we select venues. I would say, from a participant standpoint, just tell us everything you can on your tech survey form about what you're looking for, and we will always assign you to a venue where you can share resources with your fellow venue mates.
I'm going to ask one last question then. I think this is probably important for the participants. In terms of the venue, what do they get for their participants' fee? In other words, things like insurance or, you know, the little gnome that comes out at 1 in the morning.
A gnome! We gotta get gnomes! Why didn't I think of that? So your participation fee covers the venue, which will always have a rep light plot, basic sound equipment, no wireless mics, no video projectors, or rarely is a video projector included. And your box office manager, your fantastic venue director, and then promotions, marketing, and all the other stuff. But venue-wise, that's pretty much what it is. We will put you in soft goods, and I mean, it's an equipped venue. We will put you in a venue where you can share a video projector, where we often group shows together that need a Marley dance surface, for instance, and we own Marley, and that becomes the Marley venue. So, did that answer your question?
Do we talk about insurance?
Oh, we provide the general liability insurance, which covers all of the audience. So that saves each show around $1,500, I think. Each show needs to have, regardless of equity status, a volunteer accident policy. But we've arranged a bulk deal for that where it's like $185, which is a good deal because so many of us need it at the same time.
Do people volunteer for accidents or? Sorry, it's been a long day here at Fringe.
Accidents happen.
No, God forbid. God forbid. Sorry, I don't mean to make light of
No, not at all.
unfortunate doings. Okay, I think we've covered venues.
Great.
And thank you guys for joining us again at Fringe Talk. We'll be with you next month. Do we know what we're talking about next month?
Volunteers and getting involved in the festival.
But not accident volunteers. We don't want those. We want unaccidental volunteers.
Right.
I'm gonna stop talking now. I'm the former Leonard Jacobs of the Clyde Fitch Report, and we love Alina. Just gonna say it.
Thanks, everybody. We'll see you next
guys.
month.